All right, what's going on, everybody? Good evening. Hopefully, everybody's doing good on this Saturday night. Blazers over the Lakers, 132 to 116. All right, we're here to break it down. Appreciate you guys tuning into the post game show. Got a lot of stuff to get into. Obviously another L for the Lakers. I think this one different than some of the other losses. I'm sure a lot of Laker fans don't really care about all the excuses, but I mean, let's be honest with each other here. Very shorthanded Lakers crew tonight for the Lakers. No Luka, no DeAndre Ayton, no Jackson Hayes. Of course, no Austin Reeves. Adu Thero still out as well. So Lakers probably not in a good position to win this game to begin with, but this is probably more of a bigger picture thing. It's not like this is an outlier. Lakers just happen to lose a game out of nowhere. They're playing great basketball. No, of course, it's none of that stuff. The same theme that the Lakers have had here over the course of, I'd say 30 days now. I saw a stat, and I didn't know it's been about a month, but that sounds right. Lakers have lost 9 of their last 14 games, if I saw that correctly, from what Spectrum was putting up there. I'll double check it as we're doing the broadcast. I'll double check to make sure that's the right stat. But another game where the Lakers don't play defense. Another game where a squad puts up over 130 points against the Lakers. The Blazers did that. By the way, they also did that without their best player, Danny Avdija. So it certainly is not like they were 100% healthy, but the Lakers have their fair share of struggles. They got a lot of players that are out. So we'll break it all down tonight. And if you guys got any thoughts, comments, anything that you want to put in the chat, feel free to do so. If you guys don't mind, we'd greatly appreciate that you guys subscribe to the channel and please consider being a member. Okay, so the list, everybody kind of is already aware who wasn't playing tonight. We found out, I think it was yesterday, that Luka wasn't going to go tonight. So you knew right out the gate this was a game that the Lakers had very likely could have lost this game. I think the question was just going to be, well, what was the game going to look like? What was the flow going to look like? Are they in the game? Are they setting the tone? And you were going to need a number of guys to step up, and we know that's been a problem for the Lakers. For me, just kind of watching the beginning of the game, and as we got to halftime, you kind of felt like there was a certain vibe there. Lakers continuing to fall behind. If they are gonna win this game, they're gonna have to come back. Basically, Portland had a comfortable lead from halftime on. I don't think the Lakers even got to within. I know at halftime it was a 10-point deficit. I don't think they got closer than 10. I'm almost 100% sure they didn't. Next thing you know, it's up to 16 and then 18. It kind of just stayed in that range between 16, maybe 14 and 18, something along those lines. And the game was never really a threat. It's tough to, I'm listening to Derek Fisher, James Worthy, and Geeter all breaking down their reaction after the game. And I think a lot of things that are coming up for them is you got the injuries. You got another different starting lineup. You got guys that haven't played with each other. There's a lot of, I don't want to call it excuses, even though they are excuses, but I think there's truth to those excuses. Here's the problem I have. This game was no different than the last 30 days. So whether you had all your players or whether you had the starting lineup that you wanted, or whether Luka was playing or he wasn't playing, or you didn't have 2 bigs or you had 2 bigs, they still continue to lose kind of the same way. So that part really didn't change. The portion of how you lost the game, not getting any stops, a lot of layups, a lot of teams. I don't know what the Blazers are typically from the 3-point line, but doesn't it seem like anybody that plays the Lakers just shoots a phenomenal percentage against the Lakers? So the Blazers tonight, I'll give you guys an example. Tonight, the Blazers shoot, let me double check here, 52% from the field, and then just under 40% from the 3-point line, 38% from the field. Whether the Lakers have everybody or they don't, they lost the same way that they typically do. A number of guys contributed. Shaedon Sharpe was phenomenal for the Portland Trail Blazers, but it wasn't just him. Jeremy Grant was really good. Caleb Love, who I know nothing about. I just heard Bill Oram, who covers the Portland Trail Blazers for the Oregonian, and he came on the show yesterday when I did it, and he said that there's a a kid that plays two ways. Caleb Love, undrafted. He's like, this guy basically has had to come in and play point guard for them, and said that he's been really good. But the point I think that he was trying to make was that they're missing a lot of key players, ball handlers. So he had to come in and, obviously do some work. Well, with that in mind, he was really good against the Lakers. They ended up with, I think, 5 or 6 guys in double figures, 5 guys in double figures. And whenever the Lakers, even if they tried to make it interesting, whenever they needed a stop, it just wasn't going to happen. And that's kind of been the theme of the Lakers this season. You can have a team that's hanging around. You can have a team occasionally drop 141 points like the Lakers did against the Atlanta Hawks. But really, at the end of the day, we know what the Lakers are every single day. When I try to kind of figure out what the Lakers' identity is, I think I'm just kind of fooling myself if I try to think I don't know what I know what their identity is. Their identity is they're going to try to outscore you. They can't get defensive stops when they need it. They got players that are unreliable. The roster doesn't, clearly doesn't fit perfectly or any of that stuff. So maybe I do have an idea of what their identity is. But look at that last handful of losses, how many points that they give up. 132, 135, 124. Then they had some games where the defense was a little bit better, but they still lost. Bucks, they gave up 105, gave up 107 to the San Antonio Spurs. But a lot of the losses that they have, it's because of their lack of defense. I'm going to point out a couple of the Lakers players from tonight's game as well, just offensively, to point out a couple of the players for the Lakers. LeBron, kind of did everything that he can. Didn't look good. Really struggled in that first half offensively. When the dust settles, he still had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, had a couple of really nice block shots. But for the most part, LeBron wasn't smooth tonight. 4 turnovers, 6 of 16 from the field. And just, again, I've said this before and I'll say it. And I know a lot of people, this is actually going to be a conversation that we're going to have on Monday in regards to LeBron. I'll kind of have a longer form conversation about it because I see a lot of comments that talk about it. If you're relying on LeBron, I'm telling you, it's not possible to rely on somebody who's 41 years old. And I know what the defense is against that. People are going to say, but he's making $52 million. If he's going to make that much money, then you need to rely on him. I'd love to tell you that the Lakers can rely on him. I just don't think that's a good game plan. And, he's going to have nights where maybe statistically he's really good or he's playing well. But overall, it's going to be tough if LeBron's trying to carry a team at this stage. And obviously without Luka and Reeves and Ayton and some of these other guys, he was asked to carry the Lakers tonight, and he wasn't able to do it, along with many other players that weren't able to do it. Marcus Smart, probably the best Laker on the floor tonight. Very aggressive, getting to the basket. Hit 3 threes as well. 25 points, 9 of 17. When I say best player on the Lakers, really what I'm referring to offensively with his 25 points. But statistically, LeBron had a better night with the 29 and 8. Couple other highlights here, just out of nowhere. Drew Timme comes off the bench for the Lakers, was awesome. He was fantastic. He played really, really well. 9 to 12 from the field, asked to come in and put in some minutes because Lakers really didn't have any bigs. And yes, they were going to start Maxi Kleber, but you were only going to play Kleber for a certain amount of time. Drew Timme, 29 minutes of play, 21 points, 9 to 12 from the field, looked very comfortable. Even hit a handful of threes. I think it was 3 or 4 from the 3-point line. Maybe this is going to open up some opportunities for Drew Timme. I think for the Lakers right now, you're trying to just look and try to find some players that you feel comfortable and that could come in and walk in and be productive for you. And maybe Drew Timme gets some opportunities. I don't have an answer for you there, but I like that he had some opportunities today. Rui Hachimura, this is the best game that he's had since he's been back. Nobody's talking about Rui Hachimura, which probably tells you something right there. But 11 points for him, 4 of 7 from the field. Laravia, just 2 points in 28 minutes. I will say that part is a little kind of – I like Laravia. I really do. I think Jake Laravia is a nice player, and I think there's areas of his game. I think he's got a lot of potential, but he also has a lot of games where he plays close to 30 minutes and doesn't do anything offensively. How do you just have 2 points and only take 2 shot attempts in 30 minutes of play without Austin Reeves, without Luka, without Ayton? without all these other guys, kind of shocking Jake Laravia doesn't get more opportunities or just doesn't find ways to try to make things happen. He had 5 rebounds, he had 4 assists, but that, obviously pointing out what Jake was able to do. And then the other player that, I don't even I got zero faith in him. And every single game that goes by, I was making this talking about him for the last couple games as well. What do you want me to say about Gabe Vincent? Another 3-point performance with 3 turnovers, 1 of 6 from the field and 1 of 4 from the 3-point line. When I say he is just robbing the Los Angeles Lakers, every time he gets a check, it's just 3 straight years of Gabe Vincent doing nothing consistent for the Lakers. I sympathize with the injuries that he's had, but performance-wise, nothing on a consistent basis for the Lakers. So, final score tonight, 132 to 116. I've yet to open up the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of comments that want to react to this Lakers loss. So we're going to get a chance to take a look at that. I'll do that right now. But Lakers lose again, 8 games over 500 now. So you guys can see the direction that they're moving in. Let me see if I heard that stat right from have they lost 9 of 14? Let's see how many. Let me count 14 out here real quick. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Damn. Lakers are 5-9 in their last 14 games. 5-9. 4 games below 500. That's a tough one to swallow right there. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. I'm going to go back as best as I can and try to see some of these comments, and then I'll also just look at some of the comments that we have here. Let's start with one of our members. The joy is gone. Can we show a little fight, though? Yeah. Yeah, tonight to me is not – tonight, not all games are created equal. And I think tonight's loss is not the same as some of the other losses. I have it up, so I'll just kind of point it out as I tell you. I thought the Charlotte loss was worse because Luka did play, because Ayton did play, because you were at home, because Charlotte, I don't care. I heard so many people say, but Charlotte's, they got good young players, this, that, everything else. Charlotte's record is still Charlotte's record. So they could have they could have good players and they could run the ball up and down the floor and they could be exciting in this. They're 15-26. So the Charlotte game was a tougher loss to swallow. The Sacramento Kings loss was a tougher loss to swallow. The Bucks, who had been struggling, was a tougher loss to swallow. I thought the loss tonight against Portland, road game, you're missing so many key players. I don't know if fight was the issue. I just don't think they're skilled enough. Just don't think they're good enough. And the thing that I can't understand with this Lakers team, and I've heard James Worthy say that maybe this is your point here. When you say a little fight, what you're really just looking for is fight on the defensive side. I could care less what happens on offense. What happens on offense happens on offense. I can make all the excuses in the world on offense because their best creators aren't there. Luka's not there. Austin Reeves is not there. Ayton hopefully will get you 10, 12, 14 points, whatever the stats are. Offensively, it is what it is. But defensively for the Lakers is where I just cannot understand how you can be so bad on a consistent basis defensively. That's the issue that I have, because tonight they were going to have guys that don't typically get a lot of playing time, so they were going to get some opportunities. And you would think that, all right, maybe they lose this game, but maybe they're a little bit better defensively just because some of the other players that they are not known for the defensive side. And you got other guys that are in here that are just playing to get playing future minutes or to get off of the G League or whatever the case is. No, they still gave up 132. So, by the way, Luka considered day-to-day, so I wouldn't be shocked if Luka plays tomorrow. He's dealing with a groin injury. Can I ask a question to Laker fans here real quick? Let me ask this question. All right, I'll come back to that one. We'll come back to that. Let me ask everyone a quick question. How come every team the Lakers play looks like Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry? How come it looks like every time the Lakers play an opposing team, their three-point shooting is just unbelievable? And I know part of the reason that's why. I know part of the reason of why. Part of the reason is teams are very comfortable playing the Lakers because they know they don't got to worry about their defense. They don't got to worry about guys getting under their skin. They don't have to worry about maybe an elbow coming to their chest. They don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So a lot of these guys are just, there's a free flow to their game that makes them really comfortable. And these are the best players in the world. If they get into a comfortable flow, it's going to be very tough to slow them down or stop them. But Shaedon Sharpe's he's not even a three-point shooter, and he looked like he was the greatest three-point shooter that I've ever seen. This happens every single night. Russell Westbrook a couple nights ago. I know Malik Monk, if he gets on a heater, he can get going, but the Lakers don't make adjustments to get off him. I know Con Knippel's a good three-point shooter, but the Lakers don't make any adjustments to get on him. LaMelo Ball was firing off three after three. I think hit 9 against the Lakers. I'm trying to remember 7, 9, whatever it was. How come every team that the Lakers play, these opposing squads, they look so comfortable? I was mentioning this after Lakers lost to Charlotte. I'm like, there were moments in that game, like, is this an all-star game? I mean, guys just get any shot that they want. Maybe that's the point that our last member was talking about in regards to a little bit of fight. If that's what you're talking about, that part I understand. But man, every single player on the opposing team, it's like they're whistling up and down the floor. Like they're chewing gum and blowing bubbles like, hey, what a beautiful day out here. They're just firing threes like they're out in a park, and then they're grabbing some ice cream and walking home. I mean, it's like it's so easy for everybody. And the Lakers, to get a good shot off, it's pulling teeth. Some of these other teams, these other players, it's like they're skipping down from one end to the other side. They're waving in the crowd, asking, how's everything going? Everything good? How are the chips? The chips are good? Maybe I'm just noticing it. I think I've lost it here. Gabe is short for garbage. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you about Gabe Vincent, but that's as bad as it gets. I got to a point where I just stopped paying attention to Gabe Vincent, and now it's like I can't get my eyes off of Gabe because I'm wondering what is this guy? Like what is he? What how's he making 11 a year? This is the third year in a row that Gabe Vincent's done nothing for the Lakers. Nothing. It's like he's going to the bank and just like, yeah, I just got to deposit another check. They're like, what does this guy do for a living? Nobody knows. I don't know what he does for a living. All right. I'll hallucinate here. You all really paid Gabe that much? Yes. 11 a season. Just wrote out the check, sent it out, and it's like, why would we do that? I don't know what to tell you, but yes, the man is getting overpaid. And by the way, I don't care. Let the man make $11 million a year. All these guys in the NBA are obviously making their money, but do something. I mean, give something to the Lakers that a Laker fan can look out there for and say to themselves, and listen, I'm not even, when the Lakers signed Gabe Vincent, I was complimenting the signing. He was just coming off that finals run in Miami. I thought the guy was a pretty good player. It's like, hey, this is kind of the type of player that they need. He's done nothing with the Lakers. Nothing with the Lakers. All right, I got to go back. I know there's a lot of comments here, and I want to kind of see what people are looking at here. Who the F is Timmy? He's talking right now. Let me see if I can get a quote or two from him real quick. Wants to play more physical, harder. Sometimes it's just the way the whistle goes. Sometimes they let it go. So, just I get a better feel if they're going to officiate it like they did. Let's talk about the refs real quick. He was just talking about the referees. By the way, Drew Timmy. So who the F is Drew Timmy? Played at Gonzaga. Was he Gonzaga or St. Mary's? I think it was Gonzaga. But really, really did well tonight. I mean, listen, if I'm the Lakers, just you're so desperate for people that can produce right now, I'm giving him some opportunities. Even hit some threes, spread the floor a little bit, was nice under the basket as well. He's got some nice touch, was 9 to 12 from the field. So and listen, nobody's game planning for Drew Timmy right now. So I'm sure by the Lakers, by the time they play the Toronto Raptors, there will be a quick conversation between the coaching staff, between now and the game tomorrow, where the Toronto Raptors will say, hey, they got this dude, Drew Timmy. He's on the team as well. We got to keep an eye out for him a little bit, though teams will kind of make their adjustments. But shout out to him because I thought he had a nice game. Um, let me say this. Um, Let me say this here real quick in regards to some of the refereeing today. That refereeing was trash, if I'm going to be honest with everybody. And I was listening to JJ Redick talk about it. It's not why they lost the game, and but the refereeing was just bad. No squad should be taking 22 free throws in the first quarter, which is what happened tonight with Portland. 22 free throws in the first quarter might be not only the most absurd thing that I've ever heard. That is such a terrible, terrible product to watch. This whole game, I thought the refs were all over the place. Again, I want to emphasize this. I'm not bitching and complaining that the Lakers lost this game because of refereeing. That's not why they lost the game. There's 10 other reasons why the Lakers lost the game. But I could also tell you, I don't know what the hell the refs were doing. The refs were all over the place. There was no fouls that were consistent. There were plays that looked like charges that were called blocks. There were blocks that were should have been called a charge that were not. There were the flagrant. LeBron got a flagrant too for literally going up to try to get a block shot. Not to say he didn't make some contact with the center for the Portland Trailblazers, but I just thought the whole game was refereed really bad. So it was a very kind of random piece. And every time I do talk about referees, I think the only thing people want is they just want you to be consistent when you're refereeing. That wasn't the case. Nobody had any idea what was going on. If it's baseball, you want that ump. It's like, all right, be consistent with the strike zone. Don't be all over the place so people have no idea what a strike is and what a ball is. And I thought tonight, most of the players didn't know what a foul was and what a foul wasn't. The problem is this roster, plus most guys from last year mostly, and we don't trade those players when doing good to capitalize on their value, but instead trade at low. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. There is not one player on the Lakers that has value to be traded. They don't. They just don't. I mean, I'll tell you where their value is. Their value is not them as a player. Their value is either their contract, because it's an expiring contract, or draft compensation that the Lakers can give them. There's nobody out there saying to themselves, oh my God, we're a Gabe Vincent and Vando away from making a run. There's no one out there that's saying we are a Rui Hachimura from making a run. And I don't mind Rui. I think Rui is a decent player, but there really truly is no value in any of these players that the Lakers have. The only value that the Lakers have is a guy like Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. And really outside of that, where's the value? Maybe a little bit of Du Thero, maybe, but again, this is an unknown commodity. I have a difficult time thinking that the Lakers have anything out there that they really can throw out to other people, or whatever the else is, or whatever the value is of them. All right, let me see what we have here. Let me read a couple of these. All right. Can't play defense or shoot open shots. Okay. I'm going to try to find some more here. Lakers gave up 132 points. Let's blame the refs. I mean, I said 39 times I'm not blaming the refs for the loss, but the refs were bad. But if you want to take from that, me saying that that's why they lost, even though I said that's the 10th thing on the list, you can take it for whatever you'd like it as. All right. Ignorant people blame Rob when LeBron took $50 million and Son took a roster spot. Hopefully it all gets cleaned up by the time we get to the offseason. I've said that before, and I'll say that again. I'm just going to assume that he's not making 50 and change next year if he's still playing. And I'm also going to assume that the Lakers will go all in on building around Luka and probably Austin Reeves, but also keeping Austin Reeves in mind of, you know, depending on how things are looking. All right, let me get some more in here. All right. Got a couple in here. Appreciate Braun, but it's time we put him as our sixth man once we get healthy. All right, let me play this out here real quick. And I don't think LeBron's going to the bench, but let me try to play this one out with everybody here real quick. Let's just kind of assume here for a quick second that that was an option. Then I would go. I mean, what I've heard so far from everybody is they want Austin Reeves coming off the bench. Now they want LeBron coming off the bench. So then who starts? Reeves has to start, in my opinion. And I know he's not the perfect match for Luka, but this is just based off of what you have right now. You got to get each of those guys 35 minutes apiece. So whether he's starting or he isn't, he's going to be playing with Luka a ton. I like to make a case for Laravia. The problem with Laravia, he's kind of, I think some games he has great stats, other games he doesn't. Offensively, obviously, he has a little bit of deficiency, but that's okay. I mean, I'm a fan of Jake Laravia. I really am. Do you put Rui back in the starting lineup? DeAndre Ayton has to be there because you really don't have too many options from a center perspective. So a little bit of slim pickings here. So it's not like the Lakers got all these different players that they can go to in regards to the starting lineup. In my opinion, from a starting lineup perspective, what they really need is to get healthy. And once they get healthy, they just need to have more options in regards to who to throw out there because their bench is not consistent. They don't have consistent players right now. And a lot of that also has to do with they don't have all their players. Listen, you could love Austin Reeves or you could hate Austin Reeves. And it's kind of an interesting relationship that I think some people have in regards to Austin Reeves. But them not having Reeves is a huge, huge blow to the Lakers. It just is. Like I said, whether you like it or you don't, not having him around is definitely really, really hurting the Lakers. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Do you guys know that Brad Wallace can help anybody in the state of California? Serious injury, wrongful death. I've said this to you guys before. Just know that Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, he's here to help. Hopefully you guys never need him. We created a website, a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, you can get an absolutely free consultation. It's obviously a great way to try to have somebody help you, a professional in the business that can navigate you through very difficult waters. I hope you guys are never in this situation or predicament, but if you are, know that we got a partner here that's been a phenomenal partner of the program for a while now, somebody that I've known for about 6 years or so that can help you. wallacewins.com/Sliwa is the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and shout out to everybody who supports our partners. Okay. I'm going to get to a few more comments here. What I need to do is also kind of start looking at the league and what the Lakers got coming up tomorrow and everything else. One of the issues that the Lakers are facing right now because they've lost 9 of their last 14 games. And another issue that they're facing right now because of the losing 5 of 6 is the standings are starting to get a lot more interesting. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. We'll look at some of the scores from the NBA today. And then as I do that, we'll take a look at the standings. So it's getting, a lot more interesting from that perspective because the Lakers keep losing games. So we know Lakers lost to the Blazers. Some other games that are either relevant or just some good teams out there. Celtics win again. Pistons win again. Big win for the Suns over the Knicks in New York. So when I'm done here, I'm going to show you what that means for the Lakers. Heat end up beating the Thunder 122-120. A lot of these games were going on right as the Lakers were about to start. Look at some of these stats here in that Timberwolves Spurs game. Anthony Edwards drops 55, Wembanyama 39-9. I think he's still on a minutes restriction. Helps the Lakers that the Timberwolves lost. Denver ends up coming back. I know they were down, end up coming back and beating the Wizards 121-115. That doesn't help the Lakers. Keep an eye out here on the Warriors. They win again as well. I'll tell you what I mean by that of keep an eye out. So go look at the standings here. This is where we're at. Lakers are down to 6th. Now, it's not like, there is only a game and a half difference between the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it's not like they can't figure out a way to get back up to the 4 or 5 spot. But here's where the problem lies. And remember, I was telling you guys that Denver's going to fall in the standings because Jokic is out. They're 29-13. They've won 4 in a row, 7 of their last 10. Denver's still winning. So maybe that ain't going to happen. Here's the problem with the Lakers. Here's this line that everybody fears, that play-in tournament. Listen, it's only January 17th. We got a lot of time left. The Phoenix Suns now are basically percentage points behind the Lakers, 1 back in the loss column for the number 6 spot. So Lakers, if this, and they got an 8-game road trip that's coming up, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Lakers are now down to number 6. They are, you can call it percentage points again, half game in the loss column from number 7. And then all of a sudden, look at the Golden State Warriors. They've won 7 of their last 10. They're 24-19. They're 5 games over 500. And the Lakers are only a game and a half in front of them. You continue to lose some games here. You can not only fall to number 7, but you could also fall to number 8. That's what happens in the Western Conference when you start losing games. And if you lose enough games, obviously in this stretch like the Lakers are, it becomes dangerous. It becomes a completely different scenario that I don't think any of us were looking at a month ago. 24-16. So 8 games now, over 500, but you got the Suns neck and neck with you right there. And I think the Suns already played a lot of their tough games, and Lakers still have, obviously, they're still, listen, by the time tomorrow's done, we'll be halfway through the season, 41 games through. So if they can handle business against Toronto tomorrow, maybe you're 9 games over 500, which I still think is a decent record based on everything. But the problem is where the Lakers are trending is the issue. Where they're trending is the issue. And then, like I said, the Golden State Warriors not that far behind. Golden State's kind of lurking there with how they've been playing. Good. Hopefully they lose all their games. Okay. Well, thank you for the input there. I appreciate that. Warriors are 11-4 in their last 15. Okay. And something that's interesting with the Warriors, they also have a very, very valuable trade asset in Jonathan Kuminga that I think a lot of teams like. So I think they're also, not only have they won 11 of their last 15, but I think they're also going to add probably a pretty decent piece to help their team for the final, 40 games, 35 games of the season, whenever they do trade Jonathan Kuminga. And I think most people think they're going to end up trading Jonathan Kuminga. The other playing teams are good. It won't be easy. I mean, Lakers shouldn't be in the class of the other playing teams, but I know what you're talking about. You're saying, well, look at Golden State. They got obviously a ton of players, champions, guys that have been there, done that, a head coach that's been there and done that. You have the Phoenix Suns, who the Lakers have had kind of their fair share of issues with this season. I mean, listen, here's Phoenix. Phoenix, I will tell you, if I've brought up the question of what is the Lakers' identity, Phoenix has an identity. Like they have very rapidly gone from this franchise that everybody was looking at saying, what a joke, to over the course of one summer, they kind of cleaned up their act. So Phoenix is also a team that could be a little bit of a headache. Wemby did start, but he is on a minutes restriction. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know that he's had a minutes restriction. Certainly had it when the Lakers played the Spurs. But San Antonio got that win against Minnesota earlier tonight. All right, let's see what else we have here. Before LeBron came back, the Lakers punked the Wolves and Spurs twice each. Now that he's back, they're getting punked by sub-500 teams. You don't think some of that has to do with Austin Reeves, their other all-star, their second-best player, not being there? I mean, we can if you want to blame everything on LeBron, you're more than welcome to. But do you think the Lakers' problems are just they're all on one person? Do you think that's fair to say that the Lakers are where they're sitting or where they're trending because of one player, nobody else? That part I don't agree with. That part I do not agree with. All right. I'm going to take a look at some more comments here, and I also want to preview the game against the Portland Trailblazers. So we're going to do that in a second. Before I do so, shout out again to another one of our partners. Thank you very much to Harrah Resort SoCal, getting my trip coordinated out there. I'm going to be out there in late January. Once I have those details, I will tell you guys. But my plan is to be there and do my morning show from there on Friday, January 30th. I'm going to plan on being there. I'm going to also do a post game show from there. That one probably not until a little bit later in the season, and we'll kind of coordinate that one. That one I really, really want to try to get listeners to come out for, and we'll have a good time. We'll just enjoy the game, kick back, watch Lakers basketball, and hang out. Harrah Resort SoCal is located in North San Diego, Palomar Mountains, anywhere between an hour and 2 hours of wherever you are in Southern California. It's a really, really beautiful resort. Um, I've said this before, and I try to describe it as best as I can. It's a great way to get away in Southern California. It's a perfect place for a staycation. We're starting to already kind of feel the warmer weather here. Badass pools, perfect for families, perfect for couples. Over 1,000 luxurious rooms. It's a great place for a staycation. Just go to the website, harrissocal.com. Looking forward when I'm out there too to eating at Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. I've already ate there before. I think it's one of the best restaurants in Southern California. So if you want to book a trip, harrissocal.com, just go to that website. Okay, Lakers got tomorrow. They are going up against the Toronto Raptors. So to be honest with you, we're both going to kind of do this at the same time here. Let's look up the Raptors and see their last handful of games. I want to look at it as we sit here. Lakers, if you remember, beat the Toronto Raptors. It was when the Lakers were playing pretty decent, and since that point or around that time, they've kind of started sliding here. But the Raptors right now, 25-18 in the Eastern Conference, sitting in the number 4 spot. They're in a great position too. I mean, for the Toronto Raptors, I don't think they're going to be competing for an NBA championship now, unless they find a way to go make a trade before the trade deadline. I'm seeing this thing on Spectrum. Anthony Edwards had 55 tonight. Jamal Murray had 42. Jaylen Brown had 41. And then Victor Wembanyama had 39. So a lot of big-time performers tonight around the league. So impressive games from that. Look at Max Christie grabbing 22 tonight. All right, let me stay on this on the Toronto Raptors. So let's see kind of how they've been doing. Their last handful of games, they lost to the Clippers. They beat the Pacers. Lost to the Sixers. They beat the Sixers. They played them back-to-back. Lost to the Celtics. Beat the Hornets. Beat the Hawks. Beat the Hawks. So they're a little bit all over the place, kind of playing 500 ball, to be honest with you. Let's see if they have any specific injuries right now that would affect them for tomorrow's game. I want to take a quick look. By the way, Sammy's going to be posting a preview video against the Raptors. That should be there early tomorrow. So just a heads up on that. Jakob Poeltl's been ruled out for tomorrow's game. So there's one. RJ Barrett has been ruled out for tomorrow's game. Emmanuel Quickly has been ruled out for tomorrow's game. So they're going to be missing some guys. They got some key players that they're going to be missing. But we all know their main players, B.I., Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes. They got some players, obviously, that got a lot of talent, but they're going to be missing some key players as well. So Toronto's not going to be 100% healthy, and they've still figured out a way to kind of win some games, and we know how the Lakers are struggling. Maybe the Lakers looked at this game, second of a back-to-back. Let's give Luka, let's give Ayton, let's give some of these guys some rest, and let's go try to get a win against the Toronto Raptors tomorrow. Now, I know Lakers, they're not really in a spot to kind of pick and choose when to play their players, but maybe that's part of the game plan. All right, let's see what else we have. Read a couple more of these, and then we're done for the day. I'm just saying at the end, it won't be pretty, but yeah, y'all can have 700 win percentage back from beating teams under 500. Yeah, listen, here's what's going on with the Lakers. There were at one point, I think they were 15-3 against teams below 500. And then they were walking into a stretch here in January where they really had an opportunity to beat up on more teams below 500. But what everybody was saying was, yeah, but they can't beat any teams that are above 500. They're not just losing to those teams, they're getting absolutely blown out. Here's what's happened over these last handful of games. It doesn't matter if you're a team above 500 or below 500, but Lakers are losing to everybody now. Everybody. I mean, every team that they're playing. If I just look at the last handful of games, and I'll try to do this while we sit here. Sacramento below 500, Milwaukee below 500, Charlotte below 500, Portland below 500. There's 4 of them right there. So maybe before it was about beating up on teams that were below 500. Not anymore. That honestly has kind of, that narrative should have changed because that's not the case anymore. So, okay, we got another post-game show coming up tomorrow. I just obviously wanted to come on here and do the best I can to kind of break it down for you guys. But tomorrow night, Lakers got the Toronto Raptors. When that game is over, we'll come back live. 8 a.m. on Monday morning, we're back live. So I hope you guys can join here over the next couple of days. Blazers over the Lakers, 132-116. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy some more NFL games tomorrow. Lakers tomorrow as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Appreciate it.